He wasn't the best looking. He wasn't the youngest. But when she saw his message, she smiled. Not because he said something clever, but because of who he was. Older, calmer, different. You've seen it 100 times. A stunning 22-year-old dating a guy pushing 35. You think, is it the money? Is she just using him? Do older guys just have better game? But the truth? It's deeper than that. Because what women feel around older men isn't about age. It's about how they feel about themselves when they're around him. In this video, we're breaking down the real psychological reasons girls are pulled toward older men, even when they don't understand it themselves. Stick around for reason number 4 because it flips the entire daddy issues stereotype on its head and reveals something most men never realize. Reason number 1. Older guys feel less dangerous, but way more exciting. Let's start with the paradox. Younger guys feel more dangerous, but less safe. Older guys feel less dangerous, but more exciting. Weird, right? But here's the psychology. Girls don't chase drama. They chase emotional safety, plus unpredictable depth. Younger guys often bring emotional chaos, games, overcompensation, and immature flexing. Even if they're attractive, the vibe is chaotic. Older guys, on the surface, look calmer, less reactive, less thirsty. But underneath that, they're often sharper, deeper, and 10x more unpredictable in ways that matter. Not because they're trying to be mysterious, but because life already shaped them into men with layers. And that's the key. Girls aren't just bored of the same tired moves. They're tired of feeling like they're dating potential instead of presence. Here's how it plays out in real life. She's used to guys replying instantly, oversharing, asking, "Did I say something wrong?" when she doesn't text back. Then she meets him. He's not cold, he's composed. He's not rushing. He's already in motion, with or without her. She's curious, then confused, then obsessed. Not because he played a game, but because he didn't need one. The next reason girls lean toward older men, it's biological. And once you understand how her brain evolved to respond to it, you'll never see attraction the same way again. So what is it about older men that triggers something in her that younger guys just don't? It's not just confidence, it's not just charisma, it's biology. Let's get into the deeper instinct she doesn't even realize is working against her logic. Reason number 2, he feels more reliable to her survival brain. You may have heard the phrase, girls mature faster than boys. That's half true. What's actually happening? Their brains are wired for pattern detection, threat awareness, and emotional reading from a young age. So when they evaluate men, they don't just look at looks, humor, hobbies. They're scanning for stability, plus safety signals. And guess what older men subconsciously communicate? Better emotional regulation, clearer thinking, slower reactions, more capability under pressure. These traits are rooted in evolutionary psychology. Thousands of years ago, women weren't choosing who had the funniest memes. They were choosing who could help them and their children survive. Fast forward to now, that instinct is still there. So even when a girl says, "I don't care about age," her nervous system does. When she's around an older guy who's composed and certain, her body feels safer, her heart rate slows, her guard drops. And it's not because he's perfect, it's because he doesn't need anything from her to feel whole. It's not about being better than younger guys. It's about being perceived as more capable at life. And that perception runs deep. Reason number 3. He has a calm mind that creates chaos in hers. Younger guys often try to create attraction with energy, loud laughs, bold texts, fast responses, constant availability. But here's the secret. It's not energy that creates attraction. It's space. Older men have learned how to hold silence. They're not trying to fill every gap in conversation. They're not constantly checking in to make sure you're okay. They're not emotionally bouncing off your mood swings. Instead, they stay centered. And that centeredness creates one of the strongest psychological triggers in female attraction, emotional contrast. Because when her energy hits your stillness, she feels something she's never felt before. Not adrenaline, not butterflies, something deeper, gravity. You don't chase her, you don't pull away, you're just there, grounded. And that grounded energy, it makes her feel safe enough to unravel. That's when she becomes vulnerable, curious, drawn in, even if she doesn't fully understand why. Up next is one of the most misunderstood reasons girls prefer older guys. It has nothing to do with money or maturity, and everything to do with the way he makes her feel about herself. We've talked biology, we've talked stability, but now we're going somewhere different, inside her mind. Because sometimes what draws her to an older guy isn't about who he is. It's about who she gets to be when she's around him. Reason number 4. He makes her feel like the woman she wants to be. Here's something nobody tells you. Most girls feel emotionally ahead of the guys around them, but still uncertain of who they are. That's the contradiction. I'm mature, but I still feel insecure. Now enter the older guy. He's not just older in age, he's emotionally seasoned. He doesn't need her to validate him. And because of that, he reflects back a version of her that feels more elevated, more mature, more feminine, more seen. He doesn't treat her like a hot girl. He treats her like a human, with edge, intellect, flaws, and soul. And that feeling of being understood beyond the surface, is addictive. It's not about him fixing her or being a mentor. It's about the emotional mirror he becomes. When I'm with him, I feel more like myself. I feel smarter. I feel grounded. And in a world where most interactions are about attention and games, that kind of emotional elevation is rare and unforgettable. Reason number 5, he's the opposite of her chaos, and that turns her on. Let's talk emotional contrast. Girls are emotional by nature, not as a flaw, but by design. They feel deeply. They analyze interactions endlessly. They run mental simulations about everything. It's chaos, internal, beautiful, wild chaos. So what happens when she's around a guy her age who mirrors that? Drama, whiplash, constant emotional noise. But with an older guy, he becomes the opposite pole. Where she spirals, he centers. Where she questions, he decides. Where she pushes, he absorbs, and then calmly responds. This contrast creates arousal. Psychologists call it emotional polarity, and it's one of the fastest ways to intensify desire. It's not about dominance, it's about balance. When she's emotionally swirling and he's calmly grounded, that energy pulls her in like a magnet. Because in that dynamic, she doesn't feel controlled. She feels contained, not like a little girl, like a real woman, held, not handled. And that emotional balance, it's something most younger guys haven't learned to master yet. The final reason girls prefer older guys? It's controversial, it's raw, and it has nothing to do with attraction. It has everything to do with the thing they didn't get growing up. We've covered confidence, emotional presence, maturity, but there's one reason that's deeper than all of them, and it's the one no one wants to admit. It's not romantic. It's not sexy. It's wounded, and that's why it's so powerful. Reason number 6. He fills a void she won't talk about. Let's talk about father hunger, not in a creepy or literal sense, but in the psychological one. Many women grew up with emotionally distant fathers. Some never felt fully seen, heard, or protected. They weren't held, they weren't validated, they were loved maybe, but not felt. So what happens? They start seeking that safety elsewhere. Subconsciously, they look for older men, not because of age, but because of what age represents. Certainty, protection, emotional structure, grounded affection. When she's around a man who feels like he knows who he is, who doesn't flinch at her emotional storms, who validates her mind without needing her body, something opens up inside her. And here's the twist. She doesn't know she's doing it. It's not conscious. It's an imprint, a psychological scar being soothed. It's not about being her daddy. It's about creating an emotional repair moment. Finally, someone makes me feel safe without making me feel small. That moment, it's not just attraction, it's relief. And relief, when it comes to long-held emotional wounds, is more addictive than any compliment, kiss, or pickup line. That's the secret most men never learn. Women don't just want to feel butterflies. They want to feel safe enough to finally let go. And older men, by design or by experience, are often the ones who can create that container. Not by trying, not by seducing, but simply by being what she's never had. In the final section, we're flipping the whole question. Do girls really prefer older guys? Or do they just prefer men who have finally become emotionally complete? So, do girls really prefer older guys? Or is that just what it looks like on the surface? Because when you strip away the age, what they're actually drawn to is something way more universal. and you don't have to wait 10 years to have it. Truth bomb. Age is a proxy for something else. Girls don't want a number. They want a feeling. They want to feel safe, but not smothered. Seen, but not worshipped, led, but not controlled, wanted, but not chased. And older men often deliver that, not because they're older, but because they've lived more. They've failed. They've been broken. They've stopped performing. And what's left? A man who's comfortable in his own skin. That's what attracts her. That's what makes her soften. That's what makes her say, I don't know why, but I trust him. It's not the gray hairs. It's not the deep voice. It's not the bank account. It's the energy of a man who doesn't need to prove anything. And that energy, you can have it at 22, or you can fake it at 42. Because this whole time, it wasn't about being older. It was about being complete. Here's the twisted irony. Most guys spend their youth chasing girls, trying to be flashy, funny, impressive. But the moment they stop chasing, the moment they start becoming who they were supposed to be all along, that's when the girls start chasing them. Not because they finally aged into it, but because they finally became a man worth noticing. So what does this mean for you? Simple. If you're younger and wondering why women seem to overlook you, don't fake being older. Become stable. Become still. Become the man who doesn't need the room to clap, because he knows who he is. Read books. Sit with discomfort. Learn to hold silence. Let go of needing to be liked. Lead with clarity, not performance. Because when you start walking like you have nothing to prove, that's when they feel it. If this hits something in you, good. That means you're starting to wake up to who you're really becoming. Hit that subscribe button. Then watch this next. 7 things men do that secretly attract women without even realizing it. Because when you combine this energy with those behaviors, you won't have to ask if she's into you. You'll already know.